Welcome to Gametout, the show where I tout about video. Welcome everybody to Gametout, the show where I tout about video game topics that you want to know. And oh my God, it is almost April 2nd. And I'm not April fooling to you right now. It is almost April 2nd, which means we are going to get the very first look at the games, the very first non-teaser trailer, direct, all this and more of the Nintendo Switch 2. Are you excited? My body is so ready. Your body should be ready as well, because I am super excited for this new system. I know, there's a lot of mixed feelings with the Nintendo Switch 2, but coming off the Nintendo Switch is the most successful Nintendo system that they've released. And I love just looking back at it, I love the fact that they were able to combine their home consoles with their handheld, and they've always been experts in both areas, but they really shine through the handheld area. And so to have a handheld system that you can plug into your TV and then make it hybrid is just pure Nintendo. And they did it with a Switch. It was great. So what do we have in store for the Nintendo Switch 2? Again, I know that when we first saw the reveal, the teaser of the Nintendo Switch 2, I was a little mixed with the naming convention of the Nintendo Switch 2. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to avoid the Wii U portion, where when people called it the Wii U, when they said, hey, this the name of the system is the Wii U, it didn't translate to the mainstream audience, because of course, most people except us awesome gamers are going to watch, they're not going to watch the trailers, right? They're going to just like hear about it, like, oh, this, and then okay, maybe I'll buy it. And so all they saw was this peripheral of this little gadget, and and to me, and this was my critique at the time, you can watch those game touts at the time, I was like, when they showed the tablet, it was basically like, hey, here's the Nintendo Wii U tablet that does nothing that a tablet does. Like, they stripped away like why people like tablets of like, the iPhone and stuff like that. If it did what the tablet was, I don't know, there was lost opportunity. Like, I felt like Nintendo closed the walls on the Nintendo Wii U accessibility. Hold on one second, I'm getting a call. All right, sorry about that. I got a emergency phone call, so I actually had to take that one. But now it's been like 20 minutes since I did this, since I pressed the thing. Oh God. Okay. Anyways, sorry about that. Hopefully I know where I was. I know we're kind of talking about the Wii U and just kind of the naming convention of it. Like, all that to say with the tablet and, all that stuff, mainstream wise, it's true. Like, if you weren't really following the Nintendo and stuff like that, like, you may actually get confused on like, hey, this just might be a Wii add-on, because they had the Wii Fit, that was an add-on to the Wii. So it's not outstretched to think that like, oh, the U thing is the tablet thing, right? So they call it the Switch 2. I would rather the Super Switch, But again, I think they went with how the industry kind of works with, like, you know, anytime there's a new Samsung or there's a new iPhone, if there's a new PlayStation, like it always increases a number. And everybody is basically aware that like if you increase the number, it is a new device, basically. So I get it. I usually Nintendo's more clever with their stuff, but like I'll let it go. Maybe not. Maybe I'll not let it go. But either way, we got our teaser a couple months ago. We got the release date of when they were going to show this Nintendo Direct, which again is tomorrow. It's super exciting. And so today I just kind of want to talk about like what my predictions are on the Nintendo Direct trailer that we're potentially going to see tomorrow. And the way that I'm going to kind of structure this, I wrote a couple notes down, is I want to kind of talk about what I actually expect to happen. Like as like somebody that like is aware of like game development, you know, I've done it, took a stab at it myself. And I know the business side, you know, working in various different places, like I'm going to kind of approach it with that aspect. But at the end, I'll kind of tell you like what I would want as a gamer, and then kind of go from there. So this for me is more like, what do I realistically think is going to happen tomorrow? So teaser was really cool. It basically showed a little bit of what the system looks like. It's a little bit bigger. It shows this mysterious USB on the very top. There's been a lot of rumors about like, hey, maybe the Switch can like go upside down and stuff like that. But then it's like, well, why would you want to do that? Oh, well, the head jack is there, but like again, like there's a lot of questions on what it could be, right? So I do think that the Direct is going to start with a trailer of the system. I know we got a little bit of a brief look, but I actually do think that they're going to start with the trailer and show a little bit more depth on the mouse feature. I think they're going to show a little bit more on what that top USB thing is going to be. I bet you there's going to be some peripherals that go in there. Like, hey, let's just say, because Nintendo's done it before with the Game Boy camera. What if they put a camera on it? And like now, you know, like when you set it down, it can kind of do like how, you know, like what was it, the Kinect, like where it could kind of track you and stuff like that. Like maybe it'll track your head movements and stuff like that. That'll be kind of cool. Oh, I'm getting a call again. Hold on one second. All right, sorry for the interruption again, but emergency is now resolved. So yay, I now shouldn't get any more calls. But now that's off my head. So anyways, back to the video. I was talking about, man, I'm so sorry, guys. That should be the last interruption. I should be pretty flowed after this. But oh yeah, we're talking about Switch 2, like just things that might happen. Like again, I think that there might be some peripheral you know, things that could be added to the top, like maybe potentially like I was gonna say microphone, but they could build in a microphone on the Switch. Come on, guys. But yeah, we could do like another screen. You know, I'm just saying that because like of the Nintendo DS and stuff like that. But like they don't need to. But like again, potentially you can have something go up there, right? But no, there's just a knowing Nintendo. I know that they like to do some sort of innovative stuff, and I know some of them are like, you know, they'll fall flat on their face, but at least they attempt to try to do something. I think right now, just based on the trailer of the teaser, it looks very much well that the mouse is going to be probably the thing that they advertise the most. But again, we don't know what that top thing is unless it is just to put the Switch upside down when you dock it for some reason. Again, to me, like it's just like there has to be a reason. Like, and I get it. Like maybe the microphone, but like really, like that's it. Like you did all that and probably spent some money putting in the second one to do that. I feel like there's something a little bit more to it. Um, but then also there's that new button on the right Joy-Con, the C button, and everybody's been trying to figure out like what is that, like what's going to happen with that. And to me, it could be, it could come to like just a normal like, hey, we're just overhyping it, and it could just be a capture button, or like, oh, this is how you do videos, or this is how you do that. The thing is, it's in an awkward place on the actual Joy-Con itself, where it's not going to be like standard button that you would press. It's basically like right below the home button. So like obviously like you're not going to press home unless you want to go home. So it's something intentional that you have to press, and it's not going to be something like really in depth with gameplay from the looks of where it's positioned. But some ideas that like I was kind of like thinking, and this is kind of just going back to like the Wii U days. The Wii U had when I remember they first announced it, and they were talking about it, I was really hoping that you were going to be able to do more with it. And what I mean is like when you had the screen and you had the screen down here, I was hoping that you can like maybe like transfer back and forth, like say for example, if I wanted to see the main screen, I can press a button and it would come here. I was hoping that I can play all my games just like straight from right there. And so coming along with that, when the Switch was coming out, and this is before it was when it was called Nintendo NX. I was hoping that like if they were still going to go the route of the Wii U, where basically, like, hey, you can have this on here. I was thinking that like there would be some sort of streaming mechanism, like the system would be like plugged in, and then you would press the button and then it would transfer here. But then the Switch like surprised me. It was just like, oh, it's like a handheld, and that's cool. Like, I just didn't think they were going to be able to put that much power in a handheld. It was super excellent. So now that we're like here, like, are we going to be able to do something similar to that? Is it kind of like a from? In other words, what I'm trying to say is it a calibration button? I know we have the mouse feature, right? Oh, you could put it on the table and you can do that with the mouse, right? But what about like, when you do like when you see presentations of like PowerPoint and stuff like that, when they're like, okay, look over here and this and this and this and that, and they're holding it, like that, and they're pointing, right? Well, what if Nintendo did a similar concept? But one of their biggest issues with like the Wii and the and the like anytime they were doing it is like sometimes it just doesn't capture it, right? But what if that's like a calibration button where you hold it and you just press it, and then it knows like I'm in this position. So now when you go ahead and do that portion, it actually points. So like say for example, if I'm playing a game, let's just say I'm playing the new Star Fox, right? And I'm just going like this. I press the button, so now it knows I'm pointing this way, and then I'm just kind of doing the motions of the Wii U or the Wii. So in other words, instead of having a sensor bar, you have this mechanism where basically you're like, I'm pointing this way, therefore this is the direction I'm pointing in. So now when I do my little toggle and stuff like that, you could do the same thing that the Wii did. because again, it's kind of like you're kind of basically saying, I'm pretending the sensor bar is here, and then I'm doing this. To me, this is my guess on what the C button is. I think it's basically a way to do that. It just makes it seem like there's like a sensor bar, and so you can do games like what was it like Metroid Prime 3. Like Metroid Prime 3, do you remember like you would point to the enemy and like start shooting and point to the enemy, start shooting him, stuff like that. And with Metroid Prime 4 coming out, like maybe there'll be a Switch version 2, and like you can point and do the stuff like that would be like an extra feature that the thing had. Now you can dock it, still play the game as normal, but you have the capability in order to do that, right? And then I think it would be cool with like different various games where you're going through like the UI and just using it as a mouse, but not a mouse that you have to have on the table. Like, yes, you can do it if you're at a table. However, if you're playing the game on the TV, most likely you're not going to be like right on the table. So how do you do that to play mouse type games with that? And to me, calibration, and now you're able to do it like a mouse. Solved. I'm gonna do a victory lap when I hear that they announced that. I don't know. That's my best guess. It may be just a capture button. It may be just like something like totally out of nowhere. But to me, that would be something innovative that Nintendo would do. So that's what I'm thinking. But anyways, I think the Direct is going to start with this hardware. I think they're going to reveal some of the features that it has, kind of like that. Maybe we'll get some little ice shaking, nonsense where it's just going to be like, haha, cool. That was weird. We'll get all that. And then I think we're going to get the actual release date as that like last image to show that. And then I think it'll go into the Direct where they like introduce the host and go like, oh, thank you for watching the Direct, blah blah blah. We're gonna talk about Nintendo Switch 2 and stuff like that. But I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna show the hardware and then the release date. I don't think that they're gonna do the prices on this particular trailer. And the only reason why is like we may not even get pricing today or tomorrow. I mean. We may or may not. I don't know. I think they might announce what kind of bundles there were. Like it'll be like, oh, this is the base model, and then here's the pro model with I don't know, whatever it'll come with like a pro controller or something like that. I don't know. Or it has like a bigger memory size, right? I think we'll get something similar to that. Like it'll just show that release date. And then they'll basically say like, if in future we'll show this, right? I do think that the release date is coming soon. I think it's going to be May or June. If it was May, I remember looking at the date, but I can't remember at the top of my head right now. But if it is May, I'm thinking the 22nd of May is very realistic for the Nintendo Switch 2 to come out. I don't know why, but like just having it 2-2, switched, because everything's been on 2, if you notice. It's been like April 2, May 2-2, Switch 2, 2-2-2. Okay, anyways. We might be getting it then. Or we might be getting it like the 12th or the 26th of June or something like that. I don't know. It depends. It depends on Nintendo. But I know that they're kind of prepped to release it probably tomorrow. But like, it's cool that they're getting enough like systems so that from what we hear, they're getting a lot of systems so that like when they release it, there shouldn't be an issue with the people that want to get it, which has always been a pain in the butt. I waited in line to get the original Wii overnight to get the Wii, and oh my god, it was crazy. just the amount of people trying to get the Wii. So yeah, let's not do that again. Especially because I do think that this Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be very successful. So obviously, what everybody wants to see is what games are going to be coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think the first game that they're going to show, when it first starts, they're going to be like, okay, let's show you some games. I think it will be Mario Kart, either 9 or 10. I know Tour is technically a game, so I don't know if they consider that being 9 or if that's just like a spin-off type thing. But they could call it 9 or 10, or maybe they just call it like Mario Gears, Mario Kart Gears, or I don't know. Either way, they will show the new Mario Kart. We'll get some more glimpses on what type of characters and stuff like that, and kind of like the gimmick of the entire game. What is it about this game that is going to drive, the most discussion and stuff like that. And I think from what it looked like in the trailer, it looks like there's going to be a lot of capability to have tons of drivers. I want to say somebody said that, I can't remember, like it was like, I can't remember if the number was 32, like there might be 32 players or maybe 64 players. Can you imagine? That's so many people throwing bananas at you. That's so crazy. But yeah, that might be a thing. I think that might be what it is. But like, I think, and I know people don't really want this, but like, it might be time to just basically kind of make like an all-star Mario Kart adventure. They already had like DLC where they brought in like Splatoon characters and Link and Animal Crossing people. So like, what if they just, of course it's always going to be Mario Kart. So the base line people that like the majority of the characters are going to be Mario characters. However, what if we have a couple from different places? Like, we can have Captain Falcon having his own his thing. We can have Samus. We can have Link, Ganon, Zelda. Like, I think that would be cool. I honestly like would not mind that. And maybe they can explore some of those. Like basically like maybe this game could be like, Mario Kart Worlds, where basically you go into different Nintendo franchises, and like that's where the racetracks are kind of themed off of. I know we got that a little bit in the DLC, but like if we explore it a little bit more in depth, that would be kind of cool. There also could be a potential that, there always has to be a gimmick. If you always think of Mario Kart, there always has to be something that like, what's new that's going to bring it to the table. Nintendo always needs something to latch on. Even in Zelda, like even in Mario, like it's just like, hey, Mario Odyssey, you have the hat, right? Tears of the Kingdom, it was like, or like it was like the sky, like that. And Breath of the Wild, it was like, hey, this new open world. Like there's so many different, like there has to be something that you can bite your teeth in. It can't just be like the same game. And Mario Kart 8 had a lot of stuff in it. And basically that gimmick for that game was the gravity. Like you basically can go upside down. You can kind of do all this stuff. So it kind of introduced all that aspect to it. So what is this game's gimmick? And if it is just, you can have this many people, like you can have like up to 100 racers at the same time. I don't know, but I think that's, they have to sell it. Like that's the part. I don't know if that's going to be what the gimmick is. And if it is, it's actually a good one, because it kind of shows that it's going to be super chaotic. However, like I think that there could be more, and having that like all-stars aspect into it, or having maybe different types of vehicles. Like let's just think of Diddy Kong Racing. where basically you have the hovercraft and you have the airplane and stuff like that. Like, imagine that there was courses that you can do where, like, in certain parts of the track, your cart will turn into a plane, or your cart will turn into, whatever. Like the gimmick could be that it just your cart morphs into something else to do part of the track. I don't know if they want to do like an entire track that's like, hey, you could do an airplane. I think it would be like basically like you're at an airport and you're on the cart, and then right when you hit the ramp, it turns into the plane and you're just like flying. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we're going into the water. And then now you're submarine, whatever. And like, they can have submarine, they can have hovercrafts, like the wave race, like type stuff. They can have like skiing, like, I don't know. Like, I think to me, if they can like kind of dabble in different like switching around and those types, I think that would be a phenomenal Mario Kart. That's just me. I know that they're going to show something because, again, we need to bite our teeth into something. And that's personally like an idea that I would have if I was, if I had my hand in developing the game. So like, I think that'd be cool. So I do think Metroid Prime 4 is going to get its own release for the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't think that this is a bad thing. A lot of people were... I remember a lot of people were upset when like Twilight Princess was doing this. They were upset when Breath of the Wild did that, where they're just like, oh my god, they're releasing it, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be as powerful and stuff like that. But what you saw is Twilight Princess played pretty well in the GameCube, right? Like it didn't seem like there was too much missing from the Wii. In fact, I actually think it's the better version because the Wii flipped everything. Like it was so weird. I'm like, wait, isn't Death Mountain supposed to be over here? Isn't Lake Hylia? Okay, anyways. But oh yeah, and then Breath of the Wild, it's like, yeah, there was a little bit better graphics and like the draw distance was a little bit better, but it was still the same game. Like if you played the Wii U version versus the Switch version, you got it. Like it's not, they didn't like hide anything behind the wall and basically like, oh, you're only going to get 20% of the game. You got the entire game. It's great. So I think in the same lines of that, I think Metroid Prime 4, because they've announced it since the day one that it was going to be on the Switch, they're being a good company and they're going to release it for the Switch, right? However, have a version for the Switch 2 where Retro Studios can maybe upscale the graphics a little bit, maybe the draw distance, and maybe they'll add a feature of, like if they did that calibration thing where you can like point and shoot and stuff like that, maybe they'll have like an extra feature that this game could toggle between. However, it essentially is the same exact game, nothing different, right? So I think that's what's going to happen with Metroid Prime 4. I want to say we're probably going to actually get a release date for this. Oh, I forgot to mention Mario Kart. I am sure that that's going to be a release title. I'm sure of it. This game, not quite sure. I actually think that this might be a summer release, maybe like July or August. That's my hunch. I felt like on the trailers that we got so far, it actually seems like it's pretty much completed. So I think they're just waiting for the Switch 2 to come out, and I don't know if they want to release it the day of Mario Kart, because if you're trying to combat like if you're trying to sell a game for the Switch and you're trying to sell a game for the Switch 2, if they only can afford one game after spending all that money on the Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4 is probably not going to be the one that sells mainstream wise. Of course, gamers like this guy, I'm going to buy it no matter what. Like that game is going into my Switch 2 immediately. But I don't think that the mainstream people are going to be like, oh, I need to play this game. Their eyes are going to be on Mario Kart. There was a reason why when they did the teaser, the game that they showed was Mario Kart. Mario Kart is like the number one seller of the Switch. And I think that it's going to be the same thing, that it will be the number one seller of this. So let's just say if they move Metroid Prime 4 into like the fall, I really, really would love Nintendo. I would really, really love for you guys to release the Metroid Prime trilogy. Like HD version. At least give us 2 and 3. You gave us 1. You teased us with that 1. But like the Wii U, you guys released a trilogy. Like, well, why didn't you give us all 3 of them? I think part of the reason is also Metroid Prime 3 was for the Wii, and it used a lot of motion control. It used a lot of actions that you use on there. I think, again, if that calibration thing is correct of my theory, that would be a perfect spot to bring in Metroid Prime 3. This is okay. I dove into my wants. I love Metroid Prime, and I'm so glad that Retro Studios are the ones developing it. But I love that game so much that, like, oh my god, I can just go off on what I want on there. But realistically, we're probably not going to get the part 2 or part 3 HD remakes. But that's what I want. So if Nintendo, make us happy. Release those before part 4 comes out. Because to me, like, if you do part 4 and then like you wait and then release HD versions of the other ones, I'm like, I feel like I want to replay the other games to get hyped up for 4. So I would hope that you guys would do that. I don't know. Come on, Nintendo. Please. All right. All right, what else games? I wrote down a couple of notes. Like, it's all chicken scratch notes, but I wanted to touch on Zelda. I don't think that there's going to be any mention of Zelda on the Nintendo Direct. I know Zelda is such a big franchise. It is done wonderful on the Switch. But we did realistically 2 years ago get Tears of the Kingdom, which was a hell of a game that was in development for like 6 or 7 years. So like the next 3D Zelda is going to take a second, and rightfully so, right? It's probably coming out 2028, 2029. However, I know that there's other Zelda releases that they could do. They could do like the HD versions of the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker that we've all been wanting. But they can also redo Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. You could do a whole bunch of stuff. However, I don't think that this Nintendo Direct is the right place to do it. I don't think that this year of 2025 should actually have anything Zelda. And the reason why is because next year is its 40th anniversary. Nintendo has been really big with celebrating their anniversaries with their big franchises like Zelda. And so if anything is going to happen with Zelda, they're going to wait for the 40th anniversary. And to me, that's actually a good spot. You have the movie coming out in 2027. And so, like, what can you do in order for fans to kind of get prepped up? And to me, yeah, actually, let's release some HD versions of some games. I think it would be really cool. And I know Nintendo won't do this, but to like actually have HD versions of all of those 4 fantastic games: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker, all released in one cartridge. I know Nintendo probably won't do that, because they like money. They, if they were to do that, they would probably release them all 4 in different times. Standalones, single cell. But I do think that something's going to happen for that. In fact, and this is my next thing I was going to mention, I do think on the Nintendo Direct we're going to see a lot of the new. I think they're going to have like a segment to kind of show the new Switch 2 UI of like how that's going to work, as well as the Switch Online. And if they still do like, if they'll still say like Plus, Switch Online Plus, yeah. I think at that point they will probably show that they're going to have the GameCube, and potentially, if they're feeling gracious and not wanting to wait a year or two to do this one, but the Nintendo DS. And if they do that, they can kind of show a trailer of like what games would come, where then they can kind of tease, you know, some games like, you know, Twilight Princess and stuff like that. So I know that would suck because then you wouldn't get the HD versions, but you can at least like show that. But the part that I was kind of pointing at was the DS versions. If you have the DS versions, now you can actually have Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks and kind of release those next year as well. And I think that would be kind of cool because those games are actually very underrated, in my opinion. And so I think that there's a very big lost opportunity to not release those and like have people enjoy it, because those games were really good. I really liked Spirit Tracks, for example. So I don't know. Maybe that's a little hope in me. But I do think that I at least think that we will see the GameCube show, like, you know, that you can play the GameCube and they'll show a couple games that from there. What I'm hoping, you know, that they'll have is, you know, they'll show like, you know, Super Mario Sunshine, maybe Double Dash, you know, a lot of good games like Pikmin. I don't know, just kind of like a trailer and stuff like that. And then I don't know if they'll announce like what exactly is going to come out like the first day, but like we should at least have like a good lineup, and hopefully even Star Fox Adventures. Not a lot of people played that game, so that would be a good one to put on the GameCube portion. But I do think that's coming, and I think that's going to be part of this trailer. But like I was saying again, I do think that they have to do something Zelda related next year. Yes, HD versions, but what if they made Ocarina of Time like actually remastered, like not just like a little like, you know, graphic update that we usually get from all these HD things, but what if they actually from the ground up retold the story of Ocarina of Time, made new like layouts, kind of have it look familiar and stuff like that, but actually do something with Ocarina of Time and retell the story and release it next year. Now, that would be a hell of a game. Next thing I wanted to talk about was Donkey Kong. There has been so many freaking rumors of Donkey Kong coming out for the Switch or the Switch 2. And it's been insane how much Donkey Kong talk there has been. Like saying that it's going to be jumping into 3D and all that stuff. As a fan of Donkey Kong, I prefer the 2D games, and so like I actually hope that we get another Donkey Kong Country game. That's just me. If they do like a 3D portion, to me it can't feel like Mario. It can't feel like Zelda. It has to feel like Donkey Kong. And to me, the feel of Donkey Kong is the Donkey Kong Country. So if they can get that aspect of Donkey Kong Country, which would be like, so most likely it would be individual levels. Like it wouldn't be open world. It would be like individual levels where you're basically kind of doing the same thing, like your animal buddies, you're trying to get from point A to point B to beat the level and stuff like that. And then in more of a sense, it's kind of more like Super Mario 3D Land or Super Mario 3D World, where it's a level that you play that's more Donkey Kong Country like, but now it's a little bit more 3D than 2D. I can see that. I'm not like entirely sold on that idea though, because again, I really love the mechanics and insanely love Donkey Kong Country as a whole. Oddly, Donkey Kong Country Returns is probably the only one that I didn't really care for, but like Tropical Freeze, that last one that came out, was like, yes, like of course Donkey Kong Country 2 is like all-time favorite, but like Tropical Freeze was like, okay, you're getting somewhere. And so it's kind of disappointing that we haven't had a game since then. So like, to me, if they were to show a Donkey Kong game, they really need to one up that. And it's like, you're going to change the style on us. Let's see what you can do. It'll be interesting. Do I think it's likely that Donkey Kong Country is going to be shown here? I don't think so. I don't personally think that they're going to release it this year. Yeah, I just don't see it. I could see it for next year. And if it was for next year, I'd probably wait for another direct, just so that it doesn't get like overshadowed by a whole bunch of games that are going to be shown here. So, but just wanted to mention it because I know that has been like a lot of a talk for such a long time. And then the last big game that I wanted to talk about was 3D Mario. I do think that we are going to see a 3D Mario. I think it might be the game that closes out the direct. I think it might be like, all right, we're going to show you one last game and then, this, and then they're going to start talking about bundles and stuff like that, right? Or like, like kind of the recap part. I do think after the release of Bowser's Fury, I do think that they are going to actually explore a open world Mario game. And in kind of the feel of how Bowser's Fury was. Like it's open, but it still feels like a single stage area when you get to this place. And not necessarily saying that you have to have all your levels in there. Think of like actually how Breath of the Wild has a whole bunch of shrines, right? What about if you have like all these things where you're like little tasks to do and stuff like that, but then you get to a painting or something like that, you jump into the painting and then you go into the stage of that Mario. And like as you complete the paintings, you get a star. I'm breaking it down to like the simplest Mario thing. I don't think that this would be the way it would be, but like, in other words, each of those areas that you go to, instead of you getting like beating the shrine and you get the spirit orb, you would get like a star, and then and that's how you would do this. I think this is definitely possible. In general, Super Mario Odyssey was very much, the levels were big. Like think about that desert level. Like that desert level was huge. So like an open world is not out of realm. And even in the desert level, you would go into the pyramid and it would like different sections of the pyramid too. Like you would have like a boss area, you would have a place where it's like a level, you go into here, you'd go into this door and it would take you to this area to get the star and stuff like that. Like it would, or moon, sorry. to me, open world actually does fit because we're basically already there. But I think Mario can do a little bit more with it. Like I think we're still missing the gimmick. Even if it's open world, you have to have a gimmick. And I'm sorry, I know people are like, "Oh, gimmicks, blah," but like, think of every Mario game that has been released with it. It's like there's a gimmick to it, right? Even new Super Mario Brothers 2. What was the gimmick? Oh, there was a whole bunch of coins. There's millions of coins. There's always some sort of thing that like it's like, well, what makes it stand out? And I thought Mario Odyssey killed it with its last gimmick. It's like you have the hat, you can turn into things and stuff like that. It was awesome the way that they made that game. So what is the gimmick for this game? I don't know. Maybe you can turn into different Mario characters. What if they go back into Super Mario Brothers 2 realm? What if this game is actually a sequel to Super Mario Brothers 2 where like he enters a dreamland and he's trying to get out of the dream and he's in this open world of dream world and he's trying to collect these things to get out of the dream. But in the meantime, you can do the player select and you can go from Mario to Luigi to Toad to Peach to maybe even Bowser. What if you can play as all of those characters depending on where you're at? I think that would be cool. Again, this is just a brainstorming session. That is personally how I like something that's untapped, and to me as a longtime fan, going back to the Super Mario Brothers 2 world and having Wart be the villain of this, that would be so cool. And also change it up a little bit. There's been a lot of like Bowser kidnaps Peach. Bowser kidnaps Peach. Bowser kidnaps Peach. We've seen that a lot. So like, let's change it. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I think that they will show that off. I actually think that would also be a release title. If it's not a release title, it's coming out in November so that they can close the year with Christmas sales. Because if they do have that game release not on or let's just say that it does release on the release date, they do have to have something coming in November. So what would be in November? I mean, they might do a trade-off, like possibly Mario is the launch title, and then Mario Kart's the one that comes in November. I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely get some actual tangible information on the Nintendo Direct, which is going to be super exciting. Before I end, I'm going to go ahead and just make mentions. I just wrote a couple games down of games that I think are going to possibly come out, or at least should be in discussion. So Capcom, I know we love those, Mega Man, the Street Fighter, all that stuff, but I wanted to think outside the box. I'm like, what game can I see Capcom bring to the Switch 2? And I was like, what about Resident Evil 4? They redid Resident Evil 4 for the PS5. And it got so much good reviews, and people were very happy about that. I think that actually could be coming out for the Switch too. We'll see. It could be, like something that they show, and it's like it's coming, yeah. ARMS 2. I know the game didn't get as much traction as they had hoped for with new IPs. However, it wasn't a dead franchise, or not franchise because it only came out with one. It wasn't a dead game that people make it seem. It did sell It just didn't sell as much as like, like their other IPs, right? So I don't think that this sequel is out of the water. I do think that there's no reason for a part 2 to come out for the Switch. So I think there is actually a very big possibility that we might get a Switch 2 to be, or sorry, the ARMS 2 to be released for the Switch 2. I actually think, and I'm putting my pen up, I think we will see ARMS 2 shown tomorrow. Aha. I think that we will see Assassin's Creed Shadows. I think we will see Tony Hawk 3 and 4. I think it's like a bundle that they're kind of showing on the other games. I do think that I don't think they're going to do a big reveal on this, but they'll definitely mention that Pokemon Legends Z to Y, whatever it's called, Z to A. So, I don't know. I'm not into the Pokemon games actually, so but I think they will show. I think they will show the game. I don't think that's going to be a Switch exclusive. I think that will also be like, hey, let's release a Switch 2 version. I don't know why that they would do that. I don't know. At least if they don't, they'll show a trailer of like, it plays all the Switch games and then kind of show like a lineup of what games are coming out for Switch this year and show that game. I know that there's a Ukulele remaster game. I don't know if it's come out already. I just wrote that down and I was supposed to look it up to see if it came out already. If it didn't come out already, I do think that it's going to be announced for the Switch 2. This one's a long stretch guess, but I said Rare Replay. So 10 years ago, Rare Replay, they celebrated their 30th anniversary, Rareware, and they released 30 games for on the Xbox. And basically, it had like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, had Battletoads, it had all the games that like they've released and stuff like that. I actually think that now that Microsoft is a little bit more dipping their toes into like making games for other systems and stuff like that, especially to make money, I think that they might release Rare Replay, either the same version that came out 10 years ago, or maybe a 40th anniversary of Rare and release the game for the Switch 2. But that is my prediction. I think Rare Replay potentially might come out. If not, I personally would love if Microsoft released HD versions of Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie or better yet, announce a new Banjo-Kazooie game. Maybe not come out this year, but show it off. You know the amount of hype that would happen if they announce a Banjo-Kazooie game? Because, let's be fair, most fans of Banjo-Kazooie, they're not playing the Xbox. They're on Nintendo, right? It's part of the reason why Microsoft was like, it's a dead franchise. Like, they even said that. Like, they're like, we're not going to release Banjo-Kazooie. But then you see how big of a reaction it got when they got announced for Super Smash Brothers, right? I think that they should release a new game, and they should release it on the Xbox. Yes, of course, that's their home console, but release it for the Nintendo Switch 2. That would sell like hotcakes. If they're worried about sales of Banjo-Kazooie, they will not have to worry on the Nintendo Switch 2. People are wanting that game so bad. I mentioned ukulele. People were buying ukulele because they miss Banjo-Kazooie. Make it well. Make it good. All right. All right. I jotted down some other ones. These are just like wants and stuff like that. So I'm gonna kind of just run through them and just say like yes, no, if I think that's gonna happen. So I have Golden Sun and Star Tropics. I always have to mention these two games. I'm such a big fan of Golden Sun, and I'm such a big fan of Star Tropics that nobody's even heard of. Are we gonna get those games? No. I'm very sad because I've been waiting so long for the next Golden Sun, especially because it always ends in a freaking cliffhanger. It's unresolved. The story is not yet done. Like, complete the story at least. Like, just give us a game so that we can complete the story, just so that we're just like, okay, it's wrapped up and bowed. Thank you. But wouldn't that be cool? Them release like, you know, like a type of a HD versions of the Golden Sun series, like 1, 2, and 3, and just like kind of like remaster its like how it looks and stuff like that. Kind of similar to like how Square Enix does some of their like hybrid of like the 2D 3D look. Like just do that with Golden Sun. So good. But yeah, do that. Release a new game. Oh, so good. And Star Tropics to me has always been, or could be, a game that is Uncharted for Nintendo. Like, if you think of the game Star Tropics and how it flowed in the original NES, it is Uncharted. Even with its humor, putting bananas in your ears and everything, it would be so awesome to have an Uncharted type game made by Nintendo, or at least outsourced by, like, you have a whole bunch of studios that you go like, hey, make this game and stuff like that. This is a franchise that you have. Do something with it. I know you forgot about it because it's not on Super Smash Bros. At all. I think this might be like the actual dead IP that Nintendo has, but I still hold up. I still have hope. I still want Star Tropics. Please. Anyways, there's no chance that those games are going to be shown, but I can hope as a young boy. All right, Animal Crossing. I do think that there is going to be an Animal Crossing game coming out. I don't think it's going to be shown on the Nintendo Direct, but they would be so mistaken if they didn't. I think they would like probably the Switch 2 to sell a little bit more, have a little bit more people have it in their hands before they release that type of game, because that game is very community based. So like, you definitely want to wait until more people have the Switch 2 in order to release that. So I could see it for, you know, like late next year, or I don't know, maybe like mid next year, but potentially I was thinking more 2027 for Animal Crossing. Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is definitely a game that, you know, has a release every couple of years, and it's actually looking like there is actually timing that it would be coming out very soon. However, I don't think that they're going to show it here on this Nintendo Direct. It's one of those things that like it will get overlooked if it was to be shown. I can see them show it maybe at the end of the year so that they can say like, hey, it's coming out in 2026. To me, that's not a game that's going to be coming out this year. Again, I just don't think that they're willing to risk for it to be not as received because of other games. So, Pikmin. I don't think it's time for Pikmin yet. Again, if we have the GameCube, like what is it called? It's not Virtual Console. It's the online thing, the GameCube Online, whatever, where you can play the games. I think Pikmin would be shown to kind of say, hey, you could play the original Pikmin in its original glory on the GameCube thing, virtual whatever it's called. So I could see that, but no Pikmin game. Kirby, there's always a possibility for Kirby. It's been 2 years since a Kirby game has come out, I want to say. And in Kirby terms, there's a hiatus. Like there's been a, it's worrying. There's usually a Kirby every year. No, I think Kirby is safe. I think there might be a possibility that there is going to be a game coming out this year with Kirby to show it on the Direct. I mean, like, so I could see that. However, I more see it no. I think it would be like a next year release. So again, I would think that they would wait. I don't think they would show it at this Direct. In other words, Yoshi. We usually get like some sort of unique art style with Yoshi games and stuff like that. I know that developer, they made Woolly World, the Craft World, but then they also made the new Peach game that came out. Was it last year? So I don't think that development time wise they are ready to show what they're making. I do think that they are going. I think that they probably will do Yoshi next instead of a new Peach game. I think they're going to do another Yoshi game, that studio. So I don't think it's coming out, or I don't think we're going to see it on the Direct, but I do think that is a game that's going to be in the future. Probably 2027 is my guess on when that game's coming out. Same thing as like Mario Maker 2, or sorry, Mario Maker 3, that it would be. That game, that is probably one of the biggest games I want. And I love Mario Maker. I still watch people playing Mario Maker 2, like probably at least weekly. I like Ryukar, I watch his YouTube all the time. Mr. Beast, I can never remember the numbers, but Beast that plays Mario Maker. He's freaking phenomenal. Yeah, I watch a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, man, I can't wait for Super Mario Maker 3, and I really want that game. Not going to happen on this Direct, though. I don't think we're going to see any 2D Mario, in fact, like on this Nintendo Direct, unless it's for like, hey, look at the DS Virtual, whatever they call it. It's going to have the new Super Mario Brothers you can play, right there. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. Mario Paint. Maybe. We are going to be shown the mouse. We are going, if they're trying to sell the mouse feature, it has to have games that feature it. Mario Paint is a no-brainer. So I do think that Mario Paint, I think I said Mario Paint. Mario Paint is a no-brainer. I think that this would be something that's actually very potentially going to happen, like have a game. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a game or something that's built in to the Switch 2 already, and it's just like an app that you download that you can do your paint and, do whatever, and share messages that way and stuff like that. And I don't know if it would be called Mario Paint, but it would just basically be in the style of Mario Paint of what you can do. I can see that. Very, very likely, in other words. Because again, I know that there's other games. They have to show games that use that feature. And that is definitely one of them. Punch Out. Possibly. It's been a while since a Punch Out game has come out, so like I can actually see that. Especially because like anything with like a physical thing, they released like 1-2 Switch, games like the Switch Sports and stuff like that. Like they still need motion control games to show, and all the games I've mentioned here I didn't really talk about any of the motion stuff, right? So they do need something to have there. Um, so Punch Out could definitely be one of them. I can see them do like another sports thing, or they need something motion control, in other words. And they do have studios that are always kind of making those games. So we're gonna either get that or some sort of exercising thing, maybe like a sequel to the Ring Fit. Um, I do think we're gonna get something in the along to that line because they do again have to sell the features of the new hardware, and what better way than to actually have a game that displays those type of stuff. So that to me, not particularly Punch Out, but something that isn't motion control. But Punch Out is one of them that I'm like, that's a fun game. Like people like that game with motion control. So people have been talking about Kid Icarus. I just saw that on Reddit the other day. I was like, it's like everybody's mentioning Kid Icarus a lot. Again, I could see them do that for the DS, stuff. The virtual console, I'm just gonna call it. I don't know what I keep on forgetting what it's called. Like the online thing where you can play the old games. I don't know if Kid Icarus is gonna be a game that they show. I don't think so. Now, is there potential for a Kid Icarus game to come out? I do think so. I don't think it's the right time or anything, especially because I think Metroid would overshadow it. So, last game I want to talk about is Star Fox. Star Fox was one of the games that bombed completely. The last game that came out, which was Star Fox Zero, and there's a list of reasons why that game failed. A list of them. I had a LP that I did for Star Fox Zero, and I was cussing the entire time. That game was horrible. It was like legit. I don't know how people played it. I played it through the entire thing. I played hours of that game, and I could not figure out for the life of me how to control my guy. Like I was just like, am I just not getting it? Like I'm usually very like I can pick up stuff really quick. That game I could not pick up. But then I would watch other people play the game and they were doing the same thing. So I was like, ooh, this game is not it's not going well. But it's been a long time since an actual Star Fox game came out. Same thing with like F-Zero and stuff, which we're not going to see because Mario Kart's overseeing that. But I can see a Star Fox game coming out. I think it's been enough time to wait. But if they do show a Star Fox game, which I think could be a potential, it has to be in order to sell the mouse feature. So I think if they were to do a Star Fox game, they would have it where your mouse is what you're clicking on to shoot while you control your ship with the left Joy-Con. That, in that fashion actually makes sense. Like I can actually see that game. I can see that doing really well. So that's my prediction. Is that's probably out of all those games at the very end that I was mentioning, besides Mario Paint, that's probably the only likely one that they actually might show. I don't know. But either way, that was a lot of talking. This is like I wanted to kind of do like a podcast type style on this one to kind of just talk it through and just kind of brainstorm on things that like we can just it's fun to speculate. This is always kind of the fun part of Nintendo releases, especially because Nintendo, they hold their cards very close to them, and so you never know what they're going to do. Like all the stuff that we talked about today, they could do 0% of that and do something totally out of left field, and it would be great because Nintendo has always been a company that thinks outside the box, and they don't necessarily go, this is what people expect of us, so let's give it to them just to make money. No, they basically always challenge themselves, which is why I always say gimmick. And again, I don't think gimmick is a bad word. Some people do. I don't think it is. But it's basically in their mentality is they're like, what's different about this? What can we do to, what aspect do we put into this game that's going to change things, right? You know what? I just forgot that I didn't mention Splatoon. Splatoon. Splatoon 4. No, that game, that is definitely coming. Anyways, sorry, I'll go back to my spiel. It just popped in my head. Like I was like, wait, it's like I was talking about Splatoon, and Splatoon's right there. It's right there. Just skipped over it. No, I think it's going to be a really good direct. We are finally here. We are finally going to see what the Switch 2 is capable of, what the Switch 2 is, get the release date. There's no way that they leave this direct without the release date. So we're going to get the release date. And when we do, then our body's ready. We're ready to do it. Pre-orders are probably going to start. I'll look right away. I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. Pre-order it. Yeah. Just exciting. I'm ready. This is like my 8th console release. This time period. I don't know what I'm trying to say. These moments of releases are always exciting. And again, it's always fun to speculate. So I would love to hear from you guys, in the comments. So if you are ready and your body's ready for something, like what are you expecting tomorrow? Like, was there anything that I said that you're just like, what are you talking about? Or can you see it? Like, because again, I tried to approach at the beginning of this video, at least approach what the actual things that I think are going to be shown. And I'm excited to see if I'm proven right or wrong. But that's the fun of it. It's always, again, trying to figure out how Nintendo works, which nobody knows. And then get surprised. Like that's what I love about Nintendo is they surprise us. They always release really good games and very quality. So I'm ready. Hopefully you guys are ready. I'm trying to think if I'm going to stream it or if I'm going to record it. I do want to at least record my live reaction to the Switch 2. I might stream it. But I think it might be a recording. It just depends on if I can get all this stuff working and stuff like that. But I will be watching it live as it's happening, and so that you guys can get my actual initial thoughts and stuff like that. And I wanted to stream it more because like if hopefully I can chat with people like while I'm doing it, because it's always fun to do that. But if worse comes to worse, I'll record it. But if you guys are looking forward to that and you're not subscribed, have to do the spiel, then please subscribe. Yeah, ring the bell, subscribe. We have a lot of good content on this channel. I have a lot of pending things that are going to be released very soon, which I'm super excited for. We're playing Echoes of Wisdom currently, and which is going to be released this Thursday. We're just having a lot of fun on this channel, so hopefully you stay tuned and get entertained. because that's what it's all about, entertainment. But yeah, like the comments, or or like this video, comment below, and again, I will see you guys next time for another discussion on gametout, and especially tomorrow with my live reaction to the Nintendo Switch 2. Get ready, because we're in for a ride. All right, I'll see you guys later.